I want to welcome everyone to the Reiche Building Level Advisory Committee. It is September 24th, 7:31 p.m., and we're meeting via Zoom. I just save us time. I'm going to go ahead and take attendance during the meeting. That way I can make sure that I can capture attendance for everyone, including people who might join us a little bit later. But we have a great group today. Just to remind people about the way we'll run the meeting, it's preferable, you definitely can raise your hand physically, but it's preferable to use the raise your hand feature, which is found by selecting the participants at the bottom of your screen, and then clicking on that, the raise your hand feature. And then after you speak, you could lower your hand. But if that is presenting any kind of challenge or barrier, just wave and we will recognize you. I'm going to hand it over to Mark and Lisa in a moment, but first we have minutes from our last meeting, which was August 27th. And I wanted to see if the minutes were in board docs. Hopefully folks got a chance to look at them. And I wanted to see if there was any feedback or suggestions, changes to make to the minutes. Okay. Terrific. With that, I'm going to just go ahead and hand it right over to Mark and Lisa and Emily to walk us through the agenda for tonight's meeting.
Great. Thank you very much. And Javier, I don't know if you can make me co-host to share my screen. We're doing a little switch. And while that is happening, there we go. Hopefully people can see that screen now. Great. And so we have a meeting that's we found is a little shorter. We've been running about a half an hour to 45 minutes, but we do have an hour plus. We're the last one tonight, so we can take whatever time is necessary. And our agenda consists of going through and looking at the site plan and the impacts that the construction will have on the site during the period of time that the building will be under renovation. And we'll kind of recap what we anticipate the phases of the renovation to be. We'll give another update of where we are with the floor plans, and then some ideas of the direction it's going with the design. We'll review the alternate poll results, and so after the last BLAC meeting, we did a poll. Emily sent out a poll to get the committee's sense of priorities. And we'll look at also the leadership in energy and environmental design, the sustainability rating system that we're using, so we'll review that. And then lastly, we'll just take a look at where we are in the schedule and the next couple steps in our process here. So with that, and I'll do the best I can to keep an eye on the hands and pause enough so that if people do have questions during the presentation, that provided plenty of opportunity for people to jump right in. So the diagram on the screen right now is the big rectangles that are light orange, and the center is the school building. Clark Street is on the bottom of the page, and Brackett Street is on the top of the page. So the entrance right now is right on the top side between the school side and the community center side. And so what the black line indicates is where we anticipate construction fencing occurring. So while they're constructing the addition and while they're doing the renovation, the contractors will need space to lay down their equipment and materials. And so we're targeting the area on the Brackett Street side to do that. We are showing the modulars right now placed over in this side of the site, and there's a door on this stair right here. There's a stair on this corner of the building, making it easy to get in and out to the modulars. And so that will really stay away from any of the construction activity, which is nice too. It'll be nice and safe to keep that away. And so during this time, we'll sort of flip where parent and bus drop-off will occur on Clark Street. So we'll use the community entrance side during this so that we're staying away from the construction activity as well during that time frame. And so that will be our temporary main entrance over on this side of the building. And so those are the primary aspects with it. And in looking at the phasing of the work, remember that we have a system where we're taking, and what we've called is pods. They're groups of 6 or so classrooms that we're moving at a time into the 3 portable classroom structures. And so that takes essentially 6 periods of time that we're moving those pods through. And so the first phase of the work, though, is the summer of 2021. That'll be next summer. And we'll actually lay down and install the foundations and then 3 modulars. And then we'll begin the second floor non-classroom spaces. And we had reviewed this at one time, but that's and we're starting up on the second floor and inserting systems, upgrades, and the things in common areas outside of where the classrooms are going to be created. Then as we get into the fall, we'll build the first set of classrooms, those first 6 classrooms on the first floor. And then we'll switch between the fall and the spring times of year. So right at that break in the school calendar, we'll switch and we'll then move the people that have been out in portables back into the school. Then we'll move the next 6 out. And so we'll continue to do that rotation through pods 1, 2, and 3, and 4. And so those take, let's see here. That takes us through and to the summer of 2023. I thought we had an additional, but we have essentially the 4 building pods, the rotations. At which time, when we get to the summer of 2023, we will be able then, all the classrooms will be created. There will be an intensive work during that summer to finish up all the remaining work in the building and on the site. And then we'll remove the portables, and then the fall of 2023, life goes back to normal, we think, at that time. So that's the phasing. So this really will be continuous for about 2.5 years, the interruption of the flow of traffic and using the temporary entrance. So. All right, the next is the floor plan update. And there really haven't been any significant changes in the floor plan. From our last meetings, we're dialing in the details now. So all the furniture is being shown in the floor plan itself now. So the cabinetry is there, and the organization of all of the small group rooms, and really getting into the details now. So, and for a reminder, that the new construction is very small amount, but at Reiche we have the new construction is in the light green, which is the entrance. It'll be the new administrative office area that's adjacent to the security vestibule. We'll have a new conference room that comes out from that admin area, and then the stair from the upper level that comes down from where we're relocating the health partner on the second level. They'll have that stair without having to go through the school itself. That's shown here. And so those spaces are being laid out now. And we're still showing the alternate of this connector on the roof. Again, the layout of the classrooms hasn't changed from the last time we met, so those classrooms are organized around the perimeter of the room. And so right now we're working on some ideas for the front of the building, the new entrance, and trying to really understand how we can leverage the new entrance to really create a connection with the sidewalk along the front of Brackett Street. So this is an early developmental model that we're working on. So we don't, the colors and materials are being refined, but you can see where we're shifting the focus of the entrance to this side over where currently there's the administrative offices in this area of the building. We're actually going to create the new entrance up at this level. The site drops down lower right now. That's the present entrance, and that will still potentially be maintained as egress, as well as we'll have to have a path from the new stair that we're creating over on this side. But this area right here will be landscaped in front of that, and the new entrance will come over here. And we're looking at, there may be some type of a trellis structure that then comes out and engages with the sidewalk and brings into a covered entry and canopy that provides some relief from weather before you come in. There's a glass window on the corner here, so the admin has full eyes on folks approaching the school. And then once inside of the vestibule, there's a window, security window, before they get buzzed into the school itself. So that's a little bit of where we're moving with the design of the outside. On the inside, this is a view of the classroom wing or classroom area. And so to the right are the new walls of classrooms with the doors. And there's the door to the stair that we're looking at in the far distance here. And then the two volumes that you see in the center of the screen are the group study rooms, or the small breakout room spaces. And so those are placed around the interior of the plan to allow small group work or meeting space within the school itself. So we find those to be extremely valuable learning spaces. And then outside of those, we're still trying to leverage any space we can. So we've put marker boards or writing surface on the outsides to utilize those as places for huddling and doing pull-out work and individual student work as well, if they're working independently.
Mark, I had a quick question, if that's
absolutely,
okay.
Emily. Yep.
Is there any, I know that there are real challenges around getting natural light into the building. How are you thinking about that?
Yeah, that's an excellent question. So it's a very, as we all know, it's a very deep floor plate. And so we do have the natural light that's coming in the current location with the openings at the library, and right behind us, this is actually on the second floor, right behind us is the glass wall as well that now looks out onto the roof area. All that natural light is going to be still coming through, and what we've been trying to do is be very careful about aligning the classrooms along the perimeter so they have direct access to natural light, and then put spaces that are like the group study rooms that we have here, put those on the interior. They're borrowing light, and we have windows in them, interior windows, so they can get as much of that natural light that's behind us and available through the openings in the floor as well as the roof. So we've got as much light as we can possibly get from the existing openings, and trying to take advantage of that with things like this, which the door is over here on these group rooms, but there's windows here and windows here to get as much natural light and visibility into those rooms as much as we can.
Thank you.
Okay, we're going to move on to the List of alternates, and a reminder, the alternates are alternate scope of work, kind of like I think we use the analogy of ordering off a menu. So this is the items that don't come with your entree, that if we have enough money at the project, at the time that we receive pricing for the project, that we have the potential to add these in. So we had a tie on Reiche. This was the first time. So Brzezinski and Longfellow didn't have a tie. You guys tied on the second and third items. But so the first one is acoustic treatment for cafeteria and the brickwork area. So that we heard that come through loud and clear as an important aspect. The brickwork, as we know, with our available funds, we're really concentrated on the classroom side, but that's still very much a part of the function of the school, and so improving the acoustics there is a high priority. The second and third items are the second pre-K classroom that we had identified. I think we've shown in the floor plan on the first level near the brickwork, and then also the small group rooms, upgrading the finishes in those. And so those really, as we saw in that rendering, they really play an important part of the landscape and the environment as you walk through the space. And so just adding more a higher level of finish and more visual interest to those is sort of the second priority as well. The fourth was the restructuring of the community policing and the warming kitchen renovation, moving the community policing to the outside of the building so that it has more direct access, and then brings the warming kitchen closer to the serving area. The fifth was interior doors. So there's a small amount of doors that will not be upgraded through the areas that we're constructing new walls and doors. And so the replacement of those doors is something that came in at number 5. Number 6 was the enclosed corridor to connect the school side to the community side on that second level. So we had seen that in the floor plan. And the item 7 was exterior wall insulation to add to the masonry walls that right now don't have insulation in them. So that was great, and appreciate all the folks that came and provided input on that. So we will keep this in mind as we move forward, and these alternates may be brought forward to the DABC and then subsequently to the school board for consideration should we be in a position to be able to use additional or the funds to add these additional items. And moving right along, we have the lead update. As many of you, I think, may remember or know, the project is required by the city to achieve LEED Silver for the construction of this of the renovation additions. And one of the things that we're looking at right now with Thornton Tomasetti, our sustainability consultant, is how we're achieving that LEED Silver status. And there are various categories that we break the point system down into, and so there are 7 categories, and I'll just kind of read through what the categories are. I don't expect that you'll see any of these numbers, but I'll just kind of explain at a high level the status of where we're at with the meeting the LEED requirements. The first is location and transportation, and so it looks at site aspects of how connected it is to things such as mass transportation and the opportunity for people to ride bicycles to school, and for both students and for staff. And are we providing accommodations for green vehicles? Next one is sustainable sites, and it has to do with the impact that we're making, environmental impact that we're making on the site itself. The next one is water efficiency and how we're approaching the use of water conservation. The one that has the most points is energy and atmosphere. And so that really has has to do with the systems that we're designing into the building and how energy efficient they are. And then materials and resources, which is when we think about using recycled content or recycling items that we're taking out of the building itself. And so it's trying to be as conservative as we possibly can with that. So we're not only using energy wisely, but the embodied energy in the project is as low as we can make it. The indoor environmental quality is another high category, and that really has to do with the environment and making sure that the indoor environment is as healthy for students and staff as it can be. And so it really looks at things such as the number of, or the direct access to daylight and views, as well as the thermal comfort in the building. So those things fall under the indoor environmental quality. Also the low emitting materials, and so the materials that we're using don't have excessive off-gassing, and so we have a listing of appropriate materials that will help prevent that, and so that new carpet smell will be diminished after the project, or in our case we have resilient flooring, so using natural materials in the resilient flooring. And the last two categories are innovation, which deals with different types of things, such as one is biophilic design, and that is embracing natural, actually living materials in the project itself. And so there are a number of innovative credits that we are going to look at, and so we'll get into that a bit. And then regional priority, which is a category that LEED created to tailor the LEED program to a particular location, so it doesn't favor a part of the country, one part of the country or the other. Any questions on LEED? Oh yeah, so where are we? So we need a threshold of 50 to minimum of 50 points to get LEED Silver, and there are you see four columns. The first column is our yes column, and we're at 49 yeses right now. The next two columns are our maybe column, and we have the strong maybes and then the not so strong maybes. And in the strong maybe column, we have a possible 7 points right now. And so the likelihood of getting some of those 7 is why we're feeling very confident about meeting the LEED Silver threshold. And then in the LEED not so, or the maybe not so strong maybe column, we have 17. Most of those have to do with the extent of the project right now and the sort of limited scope that we have. And so that's why we have a number of those that are in that probably not category. And then we have 37 no's, which have to do with, again, things that are constrained within the existing building and just make it not possible for us to achieve that. We're already constrained with the site that we have, so it's not a new site. And so that, for instance, is an example of why we don't have access to all of those points that would be in the site column, for instance. So the good news is we're well on our way to getting that. We're measuring this and working with Thornton Harmon Study as we get into the detailed design and engineering of the building. So, and we'll keep everyone kind of up to date on where we go with that. Any questions? I'll pause for a second. All right. It must be the last one. I think we had the most questions in the first one, and then they've kind of dropped off a little bit. So we'll keep going here.
Mark, I see Francesca with the hand raised.
Very good. Okay, Francesca?
I have a question. When something is in that last column in red, which means it's not as meetable as the other, so to speak, as the other columns, is there a chance in the process of design and implementation that these can change, or are these permanent reds and not going anywhere?
Yeah. So a great example, Francesca, is like I'll take for under indoor environmental quality, daylight.
Yeah.
And because of the windows on the exterior of the building and the deep floor plate that we were talking about earlier, we were not creating new windows in the building. So that's going to stay red. I think we were pretty, and Thornton Tomasetti has a wealth of experience going through this. And so I think when they put it in the no column, there's a strong likelihood that those are going to stay in the no column.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Well, the last item we have, and on our agenda, and we're available for questions certainly that come up after if we have anything else. But is where are we with the schedule? So this has been our schedule as we've moved along, and we are coming up in the last phases of what we call the construction documents, and that's the documents that we get ready to send to the contractors for pricing. And so in the next couple months here, we're going to be zeroing in on all the really specific details as we develop those. But you can also see that we've arrived at the point in our schedule that we wanted to update the public on where we've come with the design itself. So the very first form that we had a year ago, seems like, wow, a lot has happened in that 1 year. But we actually all met for that evening at Reiche, and we established small groups and came up with a design statement. And then our second public forum was right as things really changed for all of us, and so we hosted the Zoom public forums in I think we said it was April. I think we were talking about it the last group, and so and in that one we came forward and we asked folks for input on what they thought of the scope of the work and how they were evolving to meet the needs of the schools. And so what we want to do now is come back and update in terms of everything we set out we're going to do, and then following through, this is how it's manifest in the design of the building, and provide that update and provide an opportunity for input or and questions as we get really to sort of get in the final stages and start to transition to launching these as real construction projects in the start of the spring of next year. So right now, that is targeted we had the 21st of October. It would be a Zoom format like we've done. We think that there may be a conflict. I think we heard there's a candidate forum night for school board, I think, going on that evening. So we're going to verify that may or may not be the right day. We know that it's almost impossible to find perhaps an evening that doesn't have anything on it. But right now we're targeting right around that. We wanted to have it far enough out that we can get plenty of opportunity to get the word spread and get enough folks to really know that it's coming. And we also want to provide it in a convenient night that people can attend too. So that right now, we're gonna look to see if that needs a shift or not. But our next meeting planned for this group is October 22nd, and so that's roughly four weeks or so from today. And the DABC meeting is a week prior to that as well. So those are sort of the next clear steps that we have outlined moving forward here. And with that, I think that is what we had planned here. And I said it was probably a half an hour, 45 minutes. It's a half an hour, but I see some hands up, and we're available for questions. Francesca?
Yeah, in using the portables as transition classrooms over the course of the building, what's the security plan for those portables? And yeah, that would be for the people in the portables, and also transferring from one portable to from one portable into the building.
That's an excellent question. That to that level of detail, we haven't really drilled down. But I really appreciate that question, because I think what we'll do is we'll work with facilities to understand their current policies of how they're doing it, and anything we can do to strengthen that. I know right now, for instance, there's Presumpscot has a arrangement of portable classrooms, and so we'll learn from what has worked well for their current arrangement and see what we can do to strengthen it. Certainly communication is really, really important, and having secure doors on the portables as well, but your point of going back and forth is important too. All right. Is that very good? Judith?
Hi. I wanted to comment on the landscaping out on in the front of the building on Brackett Street. We traditionally have had a very strong green team presence in our school, and as you may or may not know, we partner with a landscape architect in our neighborhood who puts a lot of voluntary hours into play in terms of design and execution. And currently there's a garden in the entranceway of Brackett Street that we invested in over the years as a green team and fundraising for those plants and that work. Is there a possibility that we could pull the green team in to consult with, or give them some opportunity to continue their good work at the school?
Yeah, we love that idea, and so Lisa and I will sort of put our heads together right after this and figure out if it's virtual or even on site or some combination, if we can safely social distance and really inventory what it is you've done, and figure out the best way to do that. So, Judith, who's sort of the best point person for us to contact on the green committee?
Well, interestingly enough, the 3 active members they don't have any kids at the school right now. So I would say probably Charlotte Maloney. She's the landscape architect, although I believe that a former parent by the name of Wynn Worth is still actively involved with the green team and incorporating lessons into the classrooms, but Ted or Lori might be able to give you a little bit more information on that. Great,
good, excellent. We'll reach out and figure out who best to contact and see if we can set that up. That's great. Thank you.
Mark,
I was just going to say I can connect you and Lisa after this meeting.
Wonderful.
And then I'm not sure who is just speaking, but
so
if it's on this topic. If it's on this topic, let's go to it. If not, yeah, Jeremy had his hand up. Okay, Jeremy? Jeremy, we can't hear you. All right, let's see if if anyone else has a question, then we can come back to Jeremy.
Jeremy, you may want to just write it in the chat. Oh wait, we don't have the chat enabled. So.
Jeremy, you can always follow up with me after the meeting if we can't work out your audio, and I can make sure that Mark and Lisa get your question. Anyone else? Any additional questions?
Click Renee.
Renee?
Thank you.
Hi, Mark. I don't know if you know this yet, but staff will want to know which group of staff is moving, which classrooms are moving out in the fall. and which are moving out in the spring. I know it's on the first floor, so at what point will I be able to tell folks this section of people will be in portables and this section of people will? And then my second question was, at the break, when they come back, do they come back to brand new classrooms, or do they go to their colleagues' old classrooms?
Thank you. Yeah, Renee. What we have left to do as the homework with the lead teachers is to sit down and actually map out that logistic diagram. And so we're actually going to understand who has to move and where are they moving to at every phase, so that it's all worked out at least the best we can with the information we have as we plan that. So that will be an exercise that we will schedule with you to understand who's impacted and that rotation.
Okay. Thanks, Mark.
Okay, anyone else? Jeremy, I see you still have your hand up, and I'm really sorry. I see you talking, but we cannot hear you. All right.
Can you hear me, Emily?
Yes.
I couldn't find a place to raise my hand, but I was wondering about the use of horizontal light tubes to provide light into the inner pods pieces. Has that been something that's been looked at to get natural light in there?
Yeah, thank you. We haven't examined the possibility of a horizontal light tube, but essentially what we're trying to do is the most cost-effective way we can, which is to look at those what we call bar lights, the interior windows, and to make those as large as we can to really bring that not only light into those small group rooms, but through those group rooms. The other wonderful thing that we like about trying to put glazing on the interior of both the classrooms and some of these spaces is that it really puts learning on display. And so that learning is all around, and you see it, and there's sort of a culture of just seeing everyone immersed in the activity of learning. And so that's a really, really important part of it. Right now, there's sort of, you hear it when you go into the Reiche school, but because of all the barriers being up high, you don't really see it as much. And so we really want that to be part of the openness of the school. Now that we're closing off walls, we still want to feel very open and celebrate learning.
Is the ceiling on the second floor dropped significantly that it would possibly be an option to run them?
We're really challenged with this structure that the roof heights and the floor heights are pretty shallow as they are now. And what we're also struggling to do is get all the new utilities in. So we've got, all the new sprinkler piping and all the wiring and light fixtures. And so we're going to be taking up some of that volume and putting that in, and then put the new acoustic ceilings in. And so we're challenged in being able to run something of sort of a significant size in the ceiling area. When they did design the building, what they did do well was they organized those large open volumes, the two-story volumes, in the center to help bring light through into the interior of the building itself. And so that does help a lot. And we're going to try to take advantage of the best we can with the layout.
That's all I have.
Thanks, Chris.
Yeah.
All right. Any other questions?
I think I'm back now. Can you hear me?
We can. Wonderful.
Sorry, I had to shut down Chrome and restart it because it was having some kind of fit. The minute I had raised my hand, it just totally shut me down. So I just had a couple of points. One was I just noticed on the updated drawing that the kiln room is still attached to where the art room used to be, like where the music room is now. So I assume that door needs to be flipped. And I think that was probably just unless I'm wrong and there's some reason why it's accessed from the music room, but I just wanted to point that out. So that was one. And then two, I thought I would love it if we could see some, if it's not too much work, if it's not a big deal, some additional renders of that, the entranceway. And I like the concept. I was going to say conceptually, I think that one thing I was really concerned with, and I didn't realize that would be part of the scope of the project. And I was concerned about we're going to make all these beautiful, changes inside, and it was going to change the way the space was used, but the entrance would still be kind of lackluster. So I'm really glad that you guys are, that's part of the project. And maybe I missed the meeting when that was discussed initially, but I'm glad to see that. And I think I like the way that you guys have started off with this very simple, thematic approach to try and tie the two spaces together. I think that's a good way of doing it. And I think I wanted to encourage you also to think about a theme that could be carried through inside, because in your interior renders that you've done so far, there are some really good spaces, and you were talking about how you want to access and use every space that's available. And I thought the barriers that keep the people and kids from falling down from the second floor into the first floor, there's room for decoration there. And I think these kind of motifs that you start on the outside could be brought inside, which would again tie the two spaces together, which I think is something about that building that right now is problematic, that it's so distinct from everywhere else in the neighborhood. So I think I like the idea of that, and anything you can do to kind of tie those spaces together through decorations, and cheap decorations, decorative things that can just be done cheaply in the scope of the project would be amazing. But I would like to see other views of what you've set up so far for the outside. And then I think, of course, as it develops, the same kind of thing, just because I think it'd be nice to be able to get a feel for how that looks from different angles, and just to help us visualize it. So those are the kind of 2/3 things I wanted to say.
Chairman, I'm glad we had you find your voice. That was wonderful. Thank you. So we'll work on those.
All right. If there aren't additional questions, I think we can wrap up. So again, we had a tentative date for a community forum on October 21st. But it sounds like Mark and Lisa and the rest of the team will figure out if there's a conflict on that date and circle back as soon as possible to let us know both the final date and the time, so we can start getting the word out. And then the next meeting of our committee is on October 22nd. And Mark, Lisa, or Emily, do you know what time that's scheduled for? Are we in the first time slot again now? So it would be, is it 5:30?
I think you're in the second one next time, but I have to confirm. I'm not sure. I'll send out an email confirming.
Okay, thank you so much. And I think that's it for the night. Thank you so much, everyone. Mark, Lisa, and Emily, thank you for all the work you're doing. It's very exciting to continue to see this project come to life. The thing that blows my mind probably more than anything is seeing the classroom doors. So thank you so much. And if there's any questions in the meantime, let me know. And Mark, I will connect you and Lisa to our green team at Reiche. Thanks so much, everyone. Have a good night.
Thank you all.
Thank you. Take care.